Hi everyone, welcome back to Crafting with Slavie. This is my first Halloween card this year. I'm going to probably do a bit of a series just so you can experience the whole awesome that is Halloween with me. So first things first, I am cutting out my masks that I'm going to need. I am using the Magic Picture Changer from Lawn Fawn. Actually, all the stamp and die sets are from Lawn Fawn today. And these are images from the Halloween before and afters, I believe is what they're called, the stamp set. And I just really love this little fox guy. So what you saw there, I actually changed my mind about the paper choice that I had picked for that first incarnation there. I was using just regular cover stock, and because I wanted to do some Copic coloring, I switched to Bristol cardstock. Now you'll also notice that this video is very sped up. I am so sorry because when I was done editing the footage, it was 49 minutes long, so I ended up going back through and just speeding the heck out of everything to be able to fit everything, because I did do a scene card and there's a lot of coloring in this video, and of course the Magic Picture Changer, it's my first time using it, so I wanted to include the process just in case you're not familiar of how to put it together. So here I am. I am creating my Magic Picture Changer images, and I'm using the mustard seed and spiced marmalade distressings here to create a background for my little critters. And I've masked them off so that I can then go back in with Copics and color them in. And I realized after that what I should have done, because I did this on the cardstock, but not on the Bristol cardstock, is I should have marked where my pieces ended, because you'll see it a little bit later on. I didn't quite extend that color high enough for the pull tab portion of the Magic Picture Changer, and I tried to fix it, but it didn't really work, and that's okay. I don't think it's that noticeable because you can't see it when it's hidden, and I think that whoever I give this to isn't really going to care over the cuteness of this card because they're going to be on cuteness overload. So for the Copics that I used, I am going to link them all below in the description, and I've colored the foxes all the same way, and I'm not sure if I like the darker white spots that I did here. I think it turned out really cute, but I think I need a different color combination for my Copics. So this is another reason why I highly recommend doing these types of cards, because you can really play around with your color combinations for your Copics. And so going forward, I think I just need to play around with it some more. I just love these little outfits for these foxes. I had a lot of fun coloring this guy in as a cupcake, and I really wanted to incorporate all the Halloween colors into this card. So I've got the yellows, the oranges, the greens, the purples, you name it, I got it in this card. I just couldn't help myself. I was on Halloween overload, just crammed it all in. So off camera, I go ahead and I cut these out. Now, the ink on this paper is still fairly fresh. So when you go to cut it out, just make sure that you are not putting any adhesive on the pieces that you are wanting to keep, because in my experience, it tends to peel the paper off, and we don't want that. So here I am assembling the Magic Picture Changer. It's got those two little flabbies on either side, and you need to put a really strong adhesive on both sides of these tab things. I am using score tape. It's an 1/8 of an inch thick score tape. And I also use my bone folder to burnish that score tape in so it gets a really good stick. And because I use the Bristol cardstock, it is quite heavyweight, so it is a good idea to use the bone folder to get those pieces to stick together. And I used my bone folder to help me do the rest of the creases here. And yeah, then I attacked it with my anti-static powder tool, because yeah, that's what they all say. You should attack it from front to back and make sure you have lots of coverage. It helps it slide better. And I have to say, it is totally true. The more powder I added, the easier it was to slide back and forth. And then I attach the tabs, I guess is what you would call it. Just slid them in the way that you're supposed to. There is an assembly video on the Lawn Fawn channel, and you can totally go check that out if you are unsure of how to put that together. And a little tip here, so notice how I'm struggling with the 1/8 of an inch tape. I actually use an X-Acto knife to peel the backing off. I just find that it's way easier. And then I'm just testing to make sure that everything works. And then I went to create my card scene. So I am going in with mustard seed, then spiced marmalade, and then I'm going to go in with crackling campfire, which is a new color from Tim Holtz for the Distress Ink line. It is quite fabulous, as you can tell. I really, really love it. And then I went in with a little bit of chipped sapphire, actually, you know what? I think that may have been Dusty Concord. I take that back. I think that was Dusty Concord. There's the chipped sapphire right on the top. I really wanted a very dynamic sky. And so much so that I think I forgot about the grass. So I used peeled paint. And then I realized after the ink blending was done that, you know what? I probably should have used a second color to get some dimension on that grass. Live and learn. It's all good. The card turned out great. You can't tell because it's so busy with embellishments and whatnot and just the different critters. You can't really tell that there is no dimension to the grass, so I'm okay with it. And you see me constantly checking. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line up the grass so it kind of covers up the feet of my little critter there. Whether or not I was really successful is out for debate, but let's pretend I was. And what I'm going to do next is I am going to take my background and I am going to use some liquid glue and glue this onto my background, making sure that I hit those little pieces of grass at the top. And then I'm going to line up my Magic Picture Changer cutout piece. It's part of the add-on to create scene cards over top of this where I actually want it. And the reason for this is because I didn't want to fuss around with trying to line up this grass after the fact. So again, the ink is still fairly fresh, so I just put the tape in the middle because I wasn't originally going to keep that piece. And then I realized that I could use it for the little pull tab. So I cut out my pull tab from there, and there I am with that crackling campfire. I was trying to fix that tab that I mentioned earlier. It didn't end up working out that great, but that's okay. And sorry, this is a little bit off screen. I'm apparently really terrible about making sure that I keep everything in frame, so my apologies. And yeah, just going ahead with the assembly. I use liquid glue for just about everything because I don't know what it is. I just don't have the best of luck with other types of adhesives, especially for these cards. I've had cards come apart while I'm showing the recipients how they work and stuff, and it's just been so disheartening. So I've stopped using tape in general for these cards. I just find that the liquid glue is much more resistant to wear and tear. So now I'm going ahead with attaching my scene. I played around with the idea of doing dimension in behind this section, but then I realized that because of the tiny scraps that I have on either side, I kind of needed this mounted this way. So that's fine. So I mounted that to the back, and then I put foam tape on the back of the magic picture changer to give you room for the pull tabs so that you could pull it up and down. And then I went ahead and attached the grass. Now, this magic picture changer is quite thick because of just the bulk of the actual mechanism, despite the tape. So when I went to go attach the grass, I only originally put one layer of foam tape there. And sorry for my head, I couldn't get it out of the way. And that was a mistake. A mistake that you will see me discover relatively quickly, and then I show you how to fix it. So it's not the end of the world if you don't have enough foam adhesive. Just don't press down on your card super hard. So there I am. I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel right. And then I'm like, this is really not right. So I just pulled it up and I put on more foam tape. No big deal. Crisis averted. And I think the only other thing that I would have done differently is towards the top of that grass piece. I think that that piece of foam tape was just a smidgen too big. You'll see me struggling a little bit when I'm putting the card together. And yeah, that's right. So I built the card, the magic picture changer and everything, and then I went ahead and did all the coloring. So this is where it became kind of evident to me, and you'll kind of see it in the card as well. I need to do more planning before I get just gung-ho about this. So in the process of shooting this video, I made the magic picture changer with the background, did all of that, and then I stamped and die cut all of these pieces. And I started just going to town coloring without having actually lined it up on my card to make sure that all the pieces fit. So I had way too many pieces. So like those two little foxes up at the top that are like the one that's in our magic picture changer, I ended up not using them because A, the card was too busy, and B, because even though they were dressed up with the pieces that come with this set, these ones here in particular, and then the broom and the witch's hat, they're super cute, but I think I'm actually going to end up using them on a different card, so they might make another reappearance. Now, that being said, I think that this is very telling that I need to do a little bit of pre-planning before I do up my cards, which is totally fine. I'm happy to accommodate my crazy self that way. And when I do die cut them, I think what I'm going to do, and you can totally steal this idea, is I am going to just take my uncolored die cuts and line them up on the card, make sure everything fits, and then just color for you guys what I'm actually going to be using, so we have a better idea of what we really need for the card. Now, I used two different sets. I used the Fox before and afters for this, but I also ended up using, I'm not sure what it's called, the one with the house. There's a couple different sets that I used actually. So I'm going to link those below, and I'm going to let you just watch the rest of this coloring, and I will be back shortly. Alrighty, so now that the coloring is done, we're going to work on our sentiment. I chose Trick or Treat from the Fox Before and Afters, I think is what it was. And I decided that I wanted to heat emboss the sentiment, but I'm using a fun color. This is leaf green. It's made by Ranger, and I have a whole bunch of Halloween-y colors that I got just recently that I am just dying to use, and I have them all out on my desk, so I will be making more cards using these different kinds of colors, and I'm looking for any excuse to heat emboss stuff on my cards. So you'll probably see a lot more of that in the future. Now, like I mentioned in previous videos, I don't really use a lot of colored cardstock. So I went ahead and I used mustard seed on this piece of paper. And of course I used the sentiment strips from Lawn Fawn to finish off the greeting. And I am also assembling my little foxes in their costumes. Now these two are the ones that I ended up not using, but I will use them in a different card. So all is good. And then I went ahead and I attached a few of those buckets, bags, I don't know, the cute pumpkin things to my little critters to show that they are trick-or-treating. And my little pumpkin patch from, I think that's Spooky Village, I attached it to the house. I just thought it was so cute. And this is where I've had to kind of cut things off a little bit of the house so that it would fit in behind that grass, and it worked out fine just because there wasn't, you couldn't see it through the grass, so that was fine. And here I am just putting my scene together. I've kind of spliced this a little bit. Now the only thing that I would have done differently for this card is that the little fox there, and I need to figure this out, I think, with the magic picture changer for building cards. The little fox there is just so obviously out of place, and that kind of bugs me, but I mean, not enough to start the card all over again. And I think that's something that I'm going to have to play around with and just make sure that I like the results in future cards better than this, kind of matching the background a little bit better, I think is what I'm trying to get at, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's totally the look you're going for, right? But I like to have things matchy-matchy because, you know, OCD is a real thing. So I'm going to step back and let you watch the rest of the video, and I will be back. All right, so I am back, and as I mentioned in a couple previous videos, I am trying to be better about including the embellishments. Now, just like I do with the embossing powders, I got all of the Halloweeny colors for these Nouveau Crystal drops. I've linked the different colors down below. I just love them. Oh, and that's what I'm doing there is the red ones kind of came out a little bit goopier, so they had those peaks. So to make that smaller and get rid of it a little bit, I actually tap the card up and down. So similar if you're a baker, if you ever saw instructions or made macarons, you have to kind of tap them to get all the air out and it flattens them out. Same thing with these little crystal drops. If I find that they're not round, I guess, looking kind of pearly, then I do that. And I left this in. My crystal drops there got a little bit goopy, and I just used a microfiber cloth to wipe it away. You don't have to go super crazy. It's not one of those things where, your project is ruined. You can totally go with it, go with the flow, and just make the best of it. All right, I think that's it for me. I'm gonna let you guys finish off the video. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with this really, really long video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks!